This man, as you see the picture of this man, the name of this man is James Joyce, one of the Ireland's influential writers of English literature, and he is famous for his writing. The name of his writing is Ulysses. That writing is written based on Homer's great epic poem, the Odyssey. And he, from his early life, James Joyce had been suffering from several diseases, especially for the glaucoma disease. That is the one kind of disease of his eye that he had been suffering from his early life. And that suffering put him in several trouble situations. And his actual name is James Augustine Aloysius Joyce. He was born in 1882 in Dublin, Ireland. He died in Switzerland. Okay. And the Irish novelist noted for his experimental usage of language, and especially that I have said that his famous novel is Ulysses, as well as the Finnegan's Wake. Ulysses was published in 1922 and Finnegan's Wake was published in 1939. And James Joyce had a very extended family. He had 9 siblings, 10 ভাই বোন ছিল তারা, and he started his education at the age of 6. He went to Clough-Noy Wood College, a Jesuit boarding school, and has been described as the Eton of Ireland, a famous school and a Jewish school. He started his education at the age of 6, but that education didn't go fast, especially his father, Simon Dedalus. He was a very good man, and he would tell many stories. Naturally, many parents will be telling many stories to their children, and James Joyce's father was not an exception, and he had been also talking many stories to the young James Joyce. And not only the stories, these stories actually are child's everyday incidents, frame his thinking level and his imaginative level and also his level of confidence. So James Joyce's father was an inspiration of our writer James Joyce. Apart from his many qualities, that means James Joyce's father's qualities, he loved drinking, and he spent many money for many unnecessary reasons. So their family suffered a monetary problem, and for this reason James Joyce had to leave school. That means he stopped education in school. But in 1893, and his brother Stanislas were admitted without fees with Belvedere College, a Jesuit grammar school in Dublin. Actually, at the time when our writer James Joyce was born, the grammar school was famous, and the Clonglook school was also famous. That was a Jesuit school. There James Joyce started teaching or started learning, but for the cause of monetary problem he left the school, and next time he got admission in another school. The name of his school or college is Belvedere College, another important college, that is grammar school, that is called. It is named college, but it is school. Joyce did well there academically and was twice elected president of the Maritime Society position virtually that of the head boy. Actually, James Joyce was a good boy, but apart from the academic learning, he had a fascination to do some other things. Like that means he became the Sears, the head boy of the college, and he was elected as the president of that school. And he left, however, that school, that means Belvedere College. Why? Actually, Dublin was dominated by Roman Catholic religion. Okay? And that Roman Catholic religion, James Joyce didn't like much, and for this reason he left that school as well. That means under a cloud that it was thought that he had lost his Roman Catholic faith. Who? James Joyce. And he left that school. And he entered University College Dublin, which then staffed by Jesuit priest. And there he studied language, reserved his engineers, energies and extracurricular activities, especially the reading widely. As I have said that James Joyce was good in academic writing, but apart from the academic writing, he had a habit of reading extensively the books out of the syllabus. Okay, and that book was recommended, especially the college, and taking active part in colleges' literary and historical societies. That was the school days and college days of, and when he started reading extensively, he was inspired by another Ireland's writer, that is Henrik Ibsen. Okay, and Ibsen's new drama, a review of a play When We Date Awaken, that was published at the time. He was inspired by Ibsen. And the early success confirmed Joyce in his resolution. Resolution, that means the decision he took. That means he left school, college, and three schools he changed, and the belief of Roman Catholicism, that means the religious and the social perspectives, and James Joyce's activities towards the social and the historical perspectives of Ireland. He took a decision. What is the decision? That he would be a writer. Okay. He would be a writer. What's the title of our novel? A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Artist means the writer. So he took the resolution in his early age, that is, he would be a writer. And in October 1901, that means at the time of writers was 19 years old, okay, he published an essay, The Day of the Revelment, awakening, attacking the Irish literary theatre. We can here remember that the Abbey Theatre is famous in Ireland, okay, and with that theatre, Ireland's literary revival took place, and that Abbey Theatre was named in a different name. So our writer James Joyce attacked the Abbey Theatre in his first essay that it was published in his 19 years of age. And then he got matriculation, and there he wrote verses and experimented short prose passages, and that he called epiphanies. Epiphanies, that is the sudden upbringing and the sudden upbringing of mind. হঠাৎ আপনাদের মনে হতে পারে যে এই জিনিসটা তো খুব ভালো. So as I have said, in childhood days, every incident will create a consciousness to the young boys and girls' mind. So in case of James Joyce, his day-to-day activities, especially the days in Ireland, inspired him, and sudden time and in some portion he was inspired that he will be a writer. And not only that, some thought came abruptly in the mind of the writer James Joyce that he called epiphany, and that technique is also a good technique in case of writing modern novels. Okay, Joyce used to describe his account of moment when real truth about some person, object was revealed. That means what was the situation of Ireland, what was the situation of social and religious atmosphere of Ireland, that incident came abruptly in the mind of the young writer James Joyce. And then he, after attending a few lectures in Dublin, he borrowed what money he could and went to Paris, where he abandoned the idea of medical studies. Before that, before leaving Ireland, he wanted to be a doctor. And then he went to Paris, and after reaching Paris, he left his idea that he would be a doctor. Wrote some book reviews and studied in the Saint Genevieve Library in Paris. As I have said, that James Joyce had a habit of extended reading habit, and so he read a lot. So he went to Paris, and he had begun writing a lengthy naturalistic novel, Stephen Hero, based on the event of his own life. And when in 1904 George Russell offered £1 each for the same simple short stories with an Irish background to appear in the Farmer's magazine, the Irish home state. So Joyce started writing, and as we have said, that means he had the monetary hardship, and for this reason he started writing. At that time, one publisher said that for one story I will be giving you £1. Okay, so he started that, and he compiled the writing, and he compiled that writing and published as a Dublinier in 1914. So that is the beginning. Okay, and there we find 3 stories: The Sisters, Eveline, and After the Race, and had appeared under the pseudonym Stephen Dedalus, the hero we will be getting in our novel, that is the portrait of the artist as a young man. Okay, and in such a way he started reading, and eventually he persuaded her to leave Ireland with the thought that he refused on principle to go through the ceremony of marriage, and he left Dublin together in October 1904, and he travels a lot, many portions of Poland, Croatia, and other places. And in 1905 they moved to Trestis, where James' brother Stanislaus joined them, and where their children Georgia and Lucia were born. And in 1906 to 7, for 8 months he worked as a bank in Rome. Actually, in case of the writer, when somebody will be involved in several social and several jobs, every jobs and every activities will give that writer as a kind of experience. So he wanted to be a doctor, that he left, and then again he started working in a bank in Rome, disliking almost everything he saw. And Ireland seemed pleasant by contrast. He wrote the Stanislas that he had gone credit to his stories to this Irish virtue and hospitality, began to plan a new story that date. So he wrote another story, and there, when he had been living in Paris, he started extensively the European literature. Okay? The European literature interested in both symbolist and realist. Okay, in case of the modern novel, you will see the symbolic presentation. That means the psychological presentation of the novel. So with the help of image, with the help of symbol, writer of modern age will present the reality. But in case of James Joyce, after studying European literature, he started observing the symbolism and the realism. That means symbolism will be applied for the aspect of our imagination, symbol with the symbol, but realist, that is the real activities of our day-to-day life. But James Joyce combined these 2 aspects, that is symbolism and realism, with real and imaginary. With real and imaginary, he has invented a technique of writing. That technique is called stream of consciousness. That means in case of stream of consciousness, we will see that our conscious self and our subconscious self will merge together. Okay. Subconscious self, mone আমি কাউকে অনেক পছন্দ করি। Okay. স্বপ্নের মধ্যে দেখা গেল তার সাথে আমি কোথাও ঘুরতে গিয়েছি। That is the activity of our subconscious self, but actually you didn't go. But in case of stream of consciousness, আপনার চেতন এবং অবচেতন, সাবকনশাস এবং কনশাস, এই দুটোর মিশ্রণে এমন একটা রিয়েলিটি তৈরি করবে যে রিয়েলিটিটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি মনে হবে যে একদম রিয়েল। সেই পার্সপেক্টিভসটাকে বলা হচ্ছে যে স্ট্রিম অফ কনসাসনেস। ফর দ্য ভাস্ট স্টাডি অফ European literature, our writers, James Joyce started writing such kind of novels, short stories. And he has decided that Stephen Hero lacked artistic contrast from the, and he rewrote his work in the 5th chapter under the title, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. As I have said, for the combination of symbolism and reality, he started writing essays, and in the portrait of the artist, we will see the same technique, that is the combination of symbolism and the reality, because the Stephen Hero is common, and there is an analogy, that is whether it is an autobiographical novel or not. Many portions will be quite similar to the hero of the portrait of the artist as a young man, that is Stephen Dedalus. Stephen Dedalus হলো এখানকার প্রোটাগনিস্ট। কার প্রোটাগনিস্ট? পোর্ট্রেট অফ দ্য আর্টিস্ট অ্যাজ এ ইয়াং ম্যান। তার বিভিন্ন চরিত্র, তার সাথে আওয়ার রাইটার জেমস জয়েসের অনেক কিছুই হচ্ছে মিল পাওয়া যাবে। ওকে, বাট উই কান্ট টেল এক্স্যাক্টলি দ্যাট ইজ দ্য ফটোকপি অফ Stephen James Joyce. So that he did. And when Italy declared war in 1915, Stanislaus was interned, and James and his family were allowed to go to Zurich. So, and at first when he gave private lesson in English and worked in the early chapters of Ulysses, which he had first thought of another story, that is the Mr. Hunter, and his financial difficulties were great. So he had been started working on his great novel, that is the Ulysses, and also he wrote it in, sent it in Egoist magazines, and also some other things. That means that is James Joyce became a painter willing to set up a portrait of the artist as a young man for book publication. However, that book was not accepted anywhere, and that book, that means the portrait of the artist as a young man, that was first published in United States. Okay, and there it was published on December 27, 1916 by in an advanced English Egoist press edition. Okay, so first time a portrait of the artist was published in United States. Okay, so these are the things related to our writer and the biography of the writer. So what thing that can be said here, that is an autobiographical novel, this novel can be called, that is what novel? A portrait of the artist as a young man can be called the autobiographical novel, but we can't tell it exactly. A portrait of the artist traces the intellectual and the emotional development, intellectual and emotional development. Actually, this novel, A Portrait of the Artist, we see that how a young boy, how a boy of 20 or 25 years of age, তার সমাজ সম্পর্কে চিন্তা করে, তার রিলিজিয়ন সম্পর্কে চিন্তা করে। একদিন সে হচ্ছে পরিবারের সিনিয়র সদস্যদের সাথে একটা ক্রিসমাসে খেতে বসে, সেখানে দেখে সিনিয়র মানুষরা হচ্ছে রিলিজিয়ন নিয়ে কথা বলছে। সেখান থেকে সে তার আইডিয়া পিক করে যে আসলে এই রিলিজিয়াস অ্যাক্টিভিটিস সমাজের মধ্যে কিরকম চলছে। ওকে, এবং সেটা শোনার পরে তার যে থিঙ্কিং, এই যে কৈশোর যে থিঙ্কিং, এই থিঙ্কিংটাই গ্রো করে এই 25-26 বছর বয়সে। এভাবে এই 25-26 বছর বয়সেরই একটা ছেলে কিভাবে তার ইমোশন এবং তার ইন্টেলেকচুয়াল দুটো ডেভেলপমেন্টটাকে মার্চ করে কিভাবে একজন আর্টিস্ট হয়ে ওঠে, তারই গল্প আমরা শুনবো হচ্ছে এ পোর্ট্রেট অফ দ্য আর্টিস্ট অ্যাজ এ ইয়াং ম্যান, বাট নট এক্স্যাক্টলি কোয়াইট ফটোকপি টু জেমস জয়েসেস লাইফ, বিকজ তিনি তার মধ্যে কি করেছেন, সিম্বলিজম মিশিয়েছেন এবং রিয়েলিটি। কিছু কিছু রিয়েল ইনসিডেন্টস আমরা স্টিফেন ডেডলাসের সাথে জেমস জয়েসের পাবো, এবং কিছু কিছু ফিকটিশিয়াস ইমাজিনেটিভ ব্যাখ্যাও আমরা পাবো। Okay, but with the help of the stream of consciousness, he was successful for writing this novel, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man.